Bobby Broyles here along with Tim McDonald as we continue our 12 teams in 12-day series. And Tim, today we start with a look at Elon. And just like yesterday with Delaware, Tim, the Phoenix welcome in a new head coach this season as Curt Cignetti takes over. And he comes with quite an impressive resume.
To say the least. And in 6 seasons at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, IUP, led the Crimson Hawks to a 53-17 overall record with a 33-11 record. That's just in league play. So it goes to show you he talked a little bit about wanting to take the head job, took a head job at a Division II school, got it done, and now is ready for the next challenge. And part of that Nick Saban coaching tree at Alabama, part of the original staff, in fact, was the recruiting coordinator, also a wide receivers coach, part of that 2009 national championship team among the likes. He also helped recruit Julio Jones and Mark Ingram, so says it all right there. But a lot of times Bob hinted in bringing up, we heard him talk about an up-tempo spread, maybe an offense that's going to spread things out, and also was vocal, I should say, about 2 freshman quarterbacks. And I found that interesting because a coach right away who's coming in wanting to implement new things, but he's not scared to say, we're going to have 2 freshman quarterbacks fight for that top spot. Both Jalen Green and Davis Cheek, phenomenal name, by the way, enrolled early this spring and went through spring ball together. We've seen them in fall camp take a lot of snaps and compete. So right away, kind of giving you an idea of what Curt Cignetti is trying to build. IUP averaged 41 points per game over the last 2 seasons alone, went to the Division II playoffs during that same time, again in back-to-back fashion. So if you're thinking conventional year one on offense, I think it can only go up from here for Elon. Last in CAA Football last year for scoring offense, 12.2 points per game. And down the stretch, how many times do we just feel like Elon was just trying to punch it in and things didn't work out? 11th in rushing offense. In all, had 8 total rushing and 4 total passing touchdowns in 2016. Malcolm Summers and Cole Taylor both return. The headline of 9 starters back on offense, but I know both of those guys at times, again, still trying to find their way when it's tough times throughout a regular season.
For the first time at Media Day, we had a chance to speak with Coach Cignetti, and this is what we can expect from the new-look Phoenix offense.
Well, we're up-tempo spread. I went that way 3 years ago. A lot of Clemson, Houston study, and we play fast, up-tempo. I'm very excited about our quarterbacks. We had 2 freshmen come in January, Jalen Green and Davis Cheek. And by the 5th or 6th practice, they were taking all the reps at quarterback. And I suspect that we'll see them both in the fall. They both have, there's things that they can both run the whole offense, and there's certain things one does better than the other. And Daniel Thompson, who was a starter last year, we can get him ready in short notice if we need to. Connor Christensen, who's played quarterback here in the past, would move to safety. So I think we had a great spring, change of culture and a mindset. Players are in a good spot, believing, and so getting ready for fall camp.
Keeping the similarity theme going on defense, it looks like the Phoenix might rely on this unit early and often as the offense finds its groove. Nice to have leaders like Chris Blair, Warren Messer, and Jonathan Jackson back as well.
Yeah, when you think of a Chris Blair, you think of a guy who didn't get All-CAA recognition last year, but probably could have in another year. And Coach Cignetti brought in a guy who knows this conference very well on the defensive side. Tony Trisciani, defensive coordinator now at Elon, came over from Villanova and was also an assistant at New Hampshire back in the day, but definitely knows this conference, knows the athletes needed to play defense and play defense well. And Elon gave up 229 rushing yards per game last year and over 421 yards of offense a game. It's not going to be an easy task. You're not going to come in and start shutting guys down, and I don't think it's going to be night and day flipping the switch, but you have to hang your hats on having 5 starters back. I love Chris Blair. I think he's a phenomenal player. 79 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 8 pass breakups. And a lot of the times, again, Elon was playing behind in a lot of those games. Dondre Howell is also back. He started 11 games and tied for the lead with 3 sacks last year. And you saw signs of improvement at times in short sequences. You saw it versus New Hampshire. You saw it at times versus other teams. But at the same time, it's so hard when you get behind and you're trying to get a stop. But you beat William Mary 27-10, get back to 2-2 on the year, and you're thinking things are starting to turn around. Then you face Nova, New Hampshire, Richmond, and UAlbany all in order. For any team, I don't care if it's Villanova, who's one of the statistical best teams, or if it's Elon. That's a tough stretch of games, and Elon, unfortunately, had to play those games all in order, so that only made it harder.
Now take a listen as Coach Cignetti sheds some light about his defense coming into 2017.
Well, I hired Tony Trisciani from Villanova. They were #1 in the country on defense last year. Came highly recommended. We've gone 3 down. And I saw significant progress about the middle of spring on. Once we got our gap control right and assignments, it's all about 11 guys doing their job. You know, when you get that, it's not addition, it's multiplication. When you have problems, it's usually because somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do. So I thought we got a lot better assignment-wise. And, Warren Messer at linebacker impressed me, Chris Blair at DB. I think we've got other guys that can develop, become good football players. I thought the team in general came a long way in the intangible areas of toughness, discipline. We were much more demanding, I think, than they were used to in the past. I saw great progress from our guys, and I'm anxious to get back in fall camp.
The Phoenix seek to bring some of that excitement and momentum Coach Cignetti spoke of from the spring practices into the fall, Tim. So how do you gauge expectations from a program that is still kind of trying to build in CAA football?
Yeah, I feel like we've gone past the stage of saying a new team still progressing, but at the same time, it is right. This isn't a team that has won 7 or 8 conference games. We knew it was going to take a little bit of time, and unfortunately, that process, I don't say it has to start over, but it kind of has to reignite the culture. It starts with that culture first and foremost for me. Since joining in 2014, we're still looking for an identity. Do we say Elon is an offensive team? Do we say Elon is a defensive team that is going to smack you around? And that's not a knock. That's not to take away anything from current or former players. It's just what we're trying to search for hasn't been found. And what will the offense look like? Is it going to be up-tempo? Is it because just looking for an identity, certain belief in Cignetti's past success. Talked about when he showed up on the Elon campus, he saw the facilities, saw the conference that Elon plays in, and that certainly led to this decision. But the success on the offensive side of the ball, the knowledge of the type of players can he bring to Elon, the same type of players that he brought at different places, whether it's 2 freshman quarterbacks, there's a lot of question marks, but it's also a little bit exciting. You look at the 2 freshman quarterbacks and you think of who's going to lead them. Drew Fulmer is the offensive coordinator. He came over from 3 solid seasons at Lehigh. I thought, again, another different perspective, but familiar background of FCS football and an offense at Lehigh that did a lot of great things. I like that hire as well, but no time to rest looking at the schedule, to say the least, in Cignetti's first season. Road games at Toledo and Furman to start, and also welcome a really good Charleston Southern team to town as well. And league slates feature games at Richmond, at Villanova, at New Hampshire, and ends with JMU at home just to put the icing on the cake.
The Phoenix opened the season on the road Thursday night, August the 31st at 7 o'clock versus FBS opponent Toledo. You can see this game live on ESPN3 and the Watch ESPN app.
And on social and on CAAfootball.com, we've got you covered all day long with the Elon coverage, including a fun interview with offensive lineman Alex Higgins from Media Day. Join the convo and interact with us as well. You can just use the hashtag CAAFB.
Tim and I are off for the weekend, but return fresh on Monday with the defending national champions, the JMU Dukes. Until then, have a great weekend.